So, hello all, welcome to our webinar, Product Lifetime Extension, Which Business Models Work? Thank you all very much for joining. This webinar takes place under the One Planet Network Consumer Information Programme, and it's a follow-up to the report, The Long View, which was published in 2017 through a project funded by the French Ministry for Ecological and Solidarity Transition. Please put yourself on mute and use the chat bar to the left of the screen to ask any questions that you may have. You can ask any questions throughout the call and we will come back to these at the end. I intend to leave time at the end for questions, and I will also be available after this webinar via email for any further questions that you may have. Just to let you know as well that this webinar is being recorded, and the recording and video file will be available after this call on the One Planet Network YouTube channel. So my name is Naomi Scott-Mearns, and I work for the NGO Consumers International, and we are one of the co-leads of the Consumer Information Programme. Next slide. So as background, the Consumer Information Programme is one of 6 programmes of the One Planet Network, which was formerly the 10-year framework of programmes, which was set up to help aid progression towards the achievement of Goal 12 of the Sustainable Development Goals. The programme has been running for almost 5 years. The Consumer Information Programme is currently co-led by 3 different organisations: the German Federal Ministry for the Environment, Nature Conservation and Nuclear Safety, the Indonesian Ministry of Environment and Forestry, and the NGO Consumers International. The programme is supported by an advisory committee of 20 organisations made up of governments, private businesses and NGOs. And then we have the support of more than 80 partner organisations across the world. The Consumer Information Programme's main objective is to support the provision of quality information on goods and services and effective strategies to engage consumers in sustainable consumption. We want to inspire behaviour change amongst governments, businesses and consumers towards sustainability by providing accessible, credible communication. Our work on product lifetime extension and the circular economy supports these objectives. Communication to consumers of the benefits of products that last longer is crucial, and we have noticed that there is a huge gap currently of this communication, and we are seeking to change this through our work. Next slide. So, as I previously stated, this webinar takes place under the One Planet Network Consumer Information as follow-up to the report, The Long View, which was published in 2017. You can see the front cover of the Long View report on your screens now. I'm now going to pass over to Beatriz Martins Carneiro, who works for the United Nations Environment Programme, who's going to give a little bit more background on our work on extending product lifetimes and avoiding obsolescence.
Oh, thank you, Naomi. This is Beatriz speaking. So, yeah, the work on the product lifetime extension was led by UN and by UNEP over the last 3 years with the support of the French Ministry of Environment and Solidarity. And this is being led here at UNEP by the Consumption and Production Unit, and is part of our circular economy strategy. So with this work, with the publication that we've launched in 2017, together with the case studies that we are launching today, we are also developing training material to work in countries, raising awareness on this very important issue and how it contributes to circular economy and resources efficiency.
Thank you, Beatriz. I now pass over to Larissa Kuroki from the Akatu Institute for Conscious Consumption, who's going to kick off with the main body of the webinar.
Thank you so much for the introduction, Naomi and Beatriz. And also thank you for the opportunity. It was a great pleasure for us here at Akatu to develop this work, and I hope we can keep working together. And so just to give you a little context, the work consists on collecting success cases that exemplify product lifetime extension strategies. And to do so, we've chosen 7 companies around the globe and interviewed people responsible for initiatives that work with such strategies. With these interviews, we were then able to gather enough information to produce case studies, 2 infographics, and 1 video that will be released in the One Planet Network platform. I'm gonna show you the video. It doesn't have the audio, but just for you to know, it will be available at the One Planet Network platform and YouTube. Oh. So that's it. With the audio is much better, I promise. So you can access our YouTube page later to check it out, the complete video. Continuing, our work was based on the concepts presented in the long view report, which defines product lifetime as the duration of the period that starts at the moment the product is released for use and ends when the product becomes obsolete, and defines product lifetime extension as strategies used to delay or reverse the obsolescence of a product. And the report also exemplifies 3 main approaches for designers to contribute, that are designing products that last longer, facilitate maintenance and upgrading, and designing to repair and remanufacturing. After choosing the 7 companies from distinct regions of the globe and with different business models, and getting in touch with people involved in these initiatives, we interviewed them for an hour and so, asking them about questions such as the motivation behind this initiative, how it was developed, its main goals, some partnerships, barriers, successful results, and next steps. And basically, the strategies on extending products' lifetime adopted by the chosen companies were the second-hand market, that consists on buying items from a previous owner that no longer wants it, or selling items you don't want anymore to people who can still make use of them. The upcycling, that is the process of converting old or discarded materials into something useful, improve its quality from one cycle of use to another. The repairing, that consists on putting something that is damaged, broken, or not working correctly back into good condition or make it work again. And remanufacturing, that returns a used product to its original performance with a warranty that is equivalent to or even better than the new product. So our first company is Swain Design, an initiative that produced unique furniture through upcycling and was created to raise awareness on non-organic waste issues in Senegal. So they buy discarded materials from resellers, such as plastics and metals, to produce the pieces and converts them into something beautiful and useful. All this work is done in Senegal, and then the red pieces are sent to Germany to be sold, attend the customer's requests. The manager of the initiative justifies the choice of location, saying that while in Senegal the public still associates upcycled items to old or worthless products, in Germany she has a chance to sell her pieces to customers that are more used to this kind of business. Around 3,000 pieces have been sold during the 8 years this initiative has been active, and it helped a lot to increase awareness of upcycling both in Germany and Senegal. The reduced size of their team, though, is a challenge, along with the fact that the general manager is based in Germany, so it can be hard for her to solve some issues that appear in the Senegalese process. So in short term, she intends to spend more time in Senegal in order to better manage the whole business and maybe expand their sales inside the country. And also the manager believes that sustainability is not enough present in school and government strategies. That's why there's so much waste in the streets in Senegal, and it's so hard to engage people. So the company aims to engage their team regarding the waste generation issue and the good impacts of upcycling, and through them maybe spread the word to Senegalese consumers. The second company is Caterpillar, which started working with remanufacturing as an alternative to shorten the usual long repairing process, providing a quicker and also cheaper solution to consumers. They work through an exchange model. That means that when a component needs to be replaced, a Caterpillar dealer is called to exchange it and replace it by a remanufactured one. The business model can bring benefits to consumers because it provides same as new performance, but it's cheaper due to lower costs of operation. And even though Caterpillar's remanufacturing work has been very successful around the globe, some developing countries have been more resistant to this model of business because in those places, the remanufactured goods are often misunderstood with used or even broken products. So Caterpillar is trying to reverse this image by communicating that remanufactured products are very different to old items. And also in those developing countries, the company perceives that there is a lack of regulations that assist the implementation of remanufacturing. So they have been working to make the commercialization of remanufactured products possible and acceptable in those countries. Next, we have Lithium Pumps, a company created to minimize the waste of materials that were still in good condition from the mining industry of Chile, and also consists on a remanufacturing business model. As a result, Neturnal accounts that remanufacturing a product reduces on average the emissions of TAD by 6%, avoids about 70% of waste generation, and lowers cost of production by 30% in comparison with traditional manufacturing processes. They work their communication about the benefits of extending product lifetime mainly through their CEO, who is a very active person in events and lectures about circular economy, and through their website, where you can find many articles about the remanufacturing process and its benefits. And despite all these positive results, the company faced some challenges, such as the lack of recognition of remanufacturing by consumers, especially in Latin America, and the competitiveness with large multinationals, since bigger brands can catch the attention of consumers more easily. And Neturnal is then investigating new materials that can maximize product lifetime and new design options that can improve the pump's functions and optimize their business. Next, we have OLX Brazil. That is a second-hand online marketplace that works just like the printed newspaper classifieds, but better, because it makes the communication between buyer and seller even easier. Ananda was our interviewed person from OLX, and she'll talk a little bit more about the company background later. This kind of business is good for the environment because it avoids the impacts of producing new items and also reduce waste generation. So just to give you an idea, only in Brazil, 5.7 million tons of GAD were avoided in 2017 due to this type of trade. This data is part of a report called Second-Hand Effects, available on their website, and is one of the main channels of communication about the benefits of extending products' lifetime. The main issue found by OLX Brazil, though, was the attachment of Brazilian consumers to their products, which are often stored at home and used. So as a solution, they invested in strong marketing campaigns, such as the one under the slogan "Let It Go," that has become very popular in Brazil. And in long term, OLX Brazil intends to identify the markets with highest sales and expand their business opportunities on specialized models for each category. For example, they already have an exclusive platform for house selling. Next, we have Refazenda, an upcycling clothing industry that was born as a project to minimize the issue of huge amounts of textile waste in Brazil. So the company upcycles patchworks from fabric leftovers and generates raw material for new items. As a result for that, they received the Zero Waste Award since they reduced the amount of solid waste in their activities to zero, which is very impressive considering that the textile industry is the second largest polluting industry in Brazil. They are also known for their durable clothes and some consulting services that make products' lifetime extension even easier. Marcos from Refazenda is going to talk a little bit more about that later, and he can explain you much better than me. In their website, you can find customers' testimonies about the quality of their products, and it's where the main communication about product lifetime extension is made. And like every other company, Refazenda has also found some challenges in their business. One of them is the perception that people intend to buy their items, but still don't do it. So their communication team is working to understand what makes people recognize the brand but not buy from it. Next, we have Geração Ecotronics. That is a cooperative focused on repair and recovery of electronic devices and was founded by young people trained by a technical course offered by a city located in São Paulo. And they work to avoid the accumulation of e-waste in landfills in their city through the recovery of products with potential for resale and repair of items to attend customers' needs. And they communicate this environmental good impact through their social media and website as a major benefit of their business model. Ecotronics is able to produce an average amount of 1 ton of material per month that can be used as raw material in order to in other productions or can be recycled. But the cooperative is still very small and has some issues with communicating their service, which restrains a lot their customers' range and also generates an irregular demand. Also, they don't have much support with regulation and documentation process, which requires lots of work and can be very expensive. Despite all this challenge, though, the cooperative does a really amazing job, and Alexandre, the president, will talk a little bit more about this later. And at last, we have Retalhar, an upcycling social business that receives uniforms from large companies and offer them textile recycling and upcycling, providing raw material to produce new items. This is really significant due to the textile waste problem I've mentioned before, and as a result, they had transformed more than 63,000 kilos of fabric that are not going to occupy landfills and also avoid GHG emissions. In their website, you can find all this information about the benefits of their upcycling work. The main barrier perceived by Retalhar is the lack of efficient Brazilian legislations that demand the adoption of measures from companies that discard textile to mitigate the impacts of this disposal. And for the future steps, the company is seeking to strengthen partnership with customers and amplify their good results. Jonas is the responsible person for Retalhar, and he will talk about this later for you. And at last, some conclusions are that, in general, the companies are really optimistic about the good impact their business have in the market, which can be a positive aspect in a competitive scenario. But they indicated some challenges regarding the lack of support from governments and investors, and they also believe that their business success depends on a mindset change capable of increasing acceptance and preference of this business over traditional ones. Our companies also have issues on their communication regarding the compilation of concrete results and definition of indicators for the smaller ones and overcoming mainstream ideas for the big ones. And that's it. Marilia is our expert consultant who helps us a lot to develop this project, and now she's going to present to you some insights about the case studies. You go, Marilia.
Hello everyone, this is Marilia speaking. I'm very happy to be here and be part of this meaningful project. So, we analyzed 7 cases from different industries and segments such as textile, technology, online retail, industry design, which allowed us to have a broader perspective to capture insights and inspirations for this project. Well, this graphic places the cases considering the client segment, if the focus is more industrial or more final consumer, and also the approach of the case, if the narrative is more emotional or more rational. Well, we can realize that the emotional perspective of the narrative is more related to B2B cases instead of B2B. Industries normally focus the message in cost reduction, effectiveness, and eco-efficiency. The proximity to final consumers adds more engagement and are calling to feel emotional involved with the project. As we will see in the next slide, 2 cases are planning to expand the public in the future, becoming more close to final consumers. Now we will see 10 insights that aim to bring some light to motivations, triggers, and learnings that can inspire our work and also generate new reflections and ideas. Let's go to the first one. Extending product lifetime is more than amplifying delta T. Well, we think this idea is very important because we need to embrace more than the time aspect, but also the emotional content that are embedded. We see the semantic meaning of lifetime extension, and it also deals with symbolic and transformational perspective that address human motivations much more than products and time itself. In a world that is discussing design thinking, human-centered approaches, empathy, it's important to understand that lifetime extension is closely related to human behavior, attitudes, and raising consciousness and awareness. This second slide talking about proximity to the business model that supports and strengthens the strategy. It seems very obvious, but we can realize a lot of fragmentation and dispersion thinking about sustainability and business. As we could see in the cases, the companies that work these both dimensions in an integrated and virtuous perspective can generate a more solid and consistent project. The number 3 talks about the use of symbolic imagery that brings added value to the product. We saw that the symbolic imagery can play a very important role to add value to our restored product. Establishing a parallel with Maslow's theory, you can see that beauty, design, creativity can leverage the product approach beyond a problem-solution equation normally related to environmental issues. These attributes can build a more emotional connection by addressing deeper motivations, such as self-expression, joy of commitment, unleashing inner potentials. So it helps people to feel more connected with the solution that extended products can contribute and not with the problem. The final product is the result of a new way of doing. I wonder that all of you know about the golden circle designed by Simon Sinek. In these three circles, we can see the systemic relation between why, how, and what. Life cycle extension strategy implies consistent improvement in the how part. The sustainability of the final product depends directly on more sustainable process in the way of doing in the how part that transcends the product itself. Appreciation of handcrafted manual interventions that reinforce human actions. This insight brings a reflection about quantitative and qualitative approach. We can observe an appreciation of human intervention that can evoke the maker spirit, craftsmanship, the caring that came when you do something with your own hands, as opposite of a mechanical or over-quantified approach. Price elasticity needs to address the equation disbursement versus perceived value. Well, in order to have a consistent price equation, it's fundamental to understand how consumers and clients perceive value. Otherwise, price can be just a number qualified as cheap or expensive. I think that it's important to give visibility to what's hidden behind the product, giving arguments that bring repertory to the disbursement, like sustainability indicators, information about chain and production, values and beliefs that can add legitimacy and truth. Let's talk about when compliance can favor the small ventures. We can see that there's a lot of regulation and legislation that can generate a push in some cases we studied. We saw that industry compliance can favor the small enterprises because they have policies to recycle or even reuse in the case of demand process. As normally the small companies don't have an organized strategic marketing and logistical area, the demand from industry's compliance can help. Effective consumption and meaning is amplified by quality attributes. This is interesting because quality is not only a rational aspect that brings confidence to the product. It's also a way to leverage the work with a more emotional approach, since the product lasts more and it has more stories and moments shared. And because of it, the product can be raised to a more emotional and less disposable place. Logic of communication calls allied to perceived benefits. We can see that sustainability per se is a fragile attribute for storytelling. It's an important part, but we need to connect to something more. Sustainability is not enough. The logic of communication should also express emotional and rational benefits that can unite more extrinsic aspects such as planet, community, to more intrinsic aspects. Benefits to the person, to their own life, in order to balance this equation. And finally, number 10, we're talking much more than products that last, but relationships that can transform. This number 10 is closely related to the number 1 when I mentioned that more important than time itself, it's dealing with affection, with care, with people. Thus, more than products that last, relationships that transform. A product that tends to usually last more nurtures several relations that transcend the product itself. Relations with NGOs, government, industries, academic field, consumers, that create a great thread. So it's important to give visibility and value these relationships that build trust to these products, that tend to be more relational, more systemic than the ordinary products. Now we have here some final reflections just for us to think about, and in the end you have time to discuss. And some questions we'd like to address. How can we act in a less contingent way? How to actively collaborate for change in culture? What are the pitfalls of the merging of the life cycle strategy with the business model? How to avoid becoming just an ordinary product? How can we sell the products in a way that uniquely combines sustainability with clear value benefits? How can companies communicate this to consumers, also encouraging and enabling them to use the product longer?
Thank you so much, Marilia, for bringing this rich content to us and for all the support you gave us during this project. Now, Ananda Menali, who was our interviewed person in OLX Brazil, is going to present you some insights about their company, some backgrounds, results. Thank you so much, Ananda, for this contribution you gave us during the project. And here you go.
Thank you, Larissa. Next slide, please. So, hi, I'm Ananda from OLX Brazil. Just so you know, OLX is the largest online marketplace for buying and selling used products here in Brazil. And next slide, yeah. So here in Brazil, we are a joint venture between Naspers and Shipstead. Naspers is one of the largest groups on the internet, and Shipstead is one of the largest groups of online classified ads. These websites from Shipstead, Le Bon Coin from France, Blocket from Sweden, they have the same business model that we use in our country. The online buying and selling model was already well established in other countries when OLX came to Brazil in 2010. And one of our barriers was, as Larissa told, the attachment of Brazilian consumers to their goods, which are often stored at home and used, but they don't see it. They just have this attachment, but they don't sell it. They don't let it go. And OLX second-hand online marketplace was born to put online an existing idea, the printed newspaper classifieds, with the advantage of facilitating communication between buyer and seller. That's why our mission is to connect people to transform items into happiness. Next slide, please. Larissa?
Yes, I changed it. No. Wait.
Oh. It didn't send here. Oh, okay, that's perfect. With stronger consumer awareness about the habits of second-hand marketing, selling some products meets the need to earn extra money to buy something, to save, or to make a wish. Buying a second-hand item also represents savings to those who need to purchase more affordable products. So our business is here to make Brazilians change the way they shop and the way they think. We are not here just to tell people, oh, sell your shit. We are here to make people change their minds. Next slide. In 2010, accumulate was the keyword, but now in 2019, it's desapega. Desapega is a word that works in Portuguese, but in English, it's something like let it go. So we stimulate the using instead of owning. That is, to let go of items that are no longer useful for one person, but can still be useful for another one. So when the platform was launched in Brazil in 2010, as I told you, one of the greatest advantages of the market for second-hand items explored by OLX by the company was the fact that his business model guarantees a good performance in different economic scenarios. When the economy is good, consumption increases, and at the same time, the search for a better destination for used items increases. And in periods of economic crisis, the platform is used by sellers willing to obtain extra income and buyers thinking for lower costs. Next slide. It's not changing here. Okay. So the reason that buying and selling second-hand products provides economic benefits is really easy to understand, as we told later. But we wanted to quantify the argument that such trade is capable of reducing the negative impact of consumption on the environment. So Shipstead, one of our shareholders, developed a study to assess how significant the reduction of environmental impacts of the buying and selling marketing of used goods release. That's why we are next to Acatu, because they have an article in our study. And this study was developed in other marketplaces from Shipstead around the globe. And we have joined the report last year, 2018. The report is called Second-Hand Effect and is based on the assumption that each sale of a used product replaces the production of a new, an equivalent one. This method then calculates the CO2 emissions potentially avoided by buying through this type of trade. And in the last year, we found that only in 2017 alone, product sales through OLX avoided the emission of 7 million tons of CO2 into the atmosphere. It's a big number, but you can ask me, oh, no, what's 5.7 million tons of CO2? So the next slide tells us what this number means. Next slide, please.
Change it.
5 million tons of CO2 is equal to take all the cars in Brasilia off the roads for a year. Brasilia is our capital, so it's like you pick up all the cars of our capital for a year. It means annual emissions of 2.3 million Brazilians and 5.1 million flights Rio de Janeiro, New York, Rio de Janeiro for one person. So this number is a big number. We are only below France in this report. And everyone, next slide please. And everyone can participate in the second-hand market and reap its benefits, from the increase of household income to the practice of letting go and making room for the new. And at last but not least, there's the positive side of reducing the negative impacts of consumption. 9 years later, here in Brazil, we have big numbers that show that we are on a great track. We have 50 sales per minute, and we have more than 500,000 ads every day. So we are a company that have big numbers, and we are really making changes here in Brazil. So if you want to join us, so come on, let's go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amanda. This was really interesting. I am a personal fan of OLX, and I hope you keep doing an amazing job here in Brazil and all over the world.
Thank you.
Next, we have Marcos from Refazenda. Marcos, thank you so much for all your support, for being so participative in this project. And you go.
Hello, everyone. I'm Marcos, one of the associates of Refazenda. This is a great pleasure to us being part on this high quality event. So I'd like to congratulate everyone. And to start talking a little about our business, I'm going to start by our proposal. Rethink fashion, rethink the world. Refazenda. Next, please. Again, next, please. This is Magna. Magna was the founder of the company, and who happens to be my mother as well. At that time, the burden of Magna was, I don't want to recycle. I want to do something else. Upcycling, perhaps not only, but part of the process, of the whole process. Next, please. that was the context by the time where we found the company. We are in the northeast of Brazil, are very cultural and environmentally wealthy, but before, what does it mean? It means that we are quite far from the main supplies, finance markets, but this was not fancy to us. Austerity as manufacturing, family business with a global view since 1989. The idea was outfitting range engineer and background in theory. Next, please. Basically, this is our process of creation and manufacturers. We start by the choice of fabrics. We are the natural cotton, line, and silk. And then we plan and care on smoothing and cutting fabrics, our models. And then we reassemble leftover fabrics. We go through accessories line where we have 100% made by upcycling. And then we have cooperatives associates, which are part of our industrial secret. They can reassemble, they can transform leftovers into patchworks, for example. Next, please. How do we make durable products? Basically, with high quality content, we have technical content, technological content, cultural content. We got design, handmade. Next, please. Timelessness. We got own and effective shops, very important to storytelling, our DNA. And the last but not the least, the service. After sales, at the moment of the purchase, reals, which could be translated to enhancement and reuse. Both of them are very new in our business. Next, please. Around 1 year ago, we had launched our children line, and the idea is start all over again, but now from the very beginning. This is the third generation of the company. Next, please. And finally, we'd like to highlight this important view. We are not a fashion business, definitely we are not. We are a behavioral company that communicates it through sustainable outfits. Next, please. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Marcos. This is really interesting, and I hope you can keep doing an amazing job here with Refazenda. Now we have Alexandre Martins from Geração Ecotrônicos, and he's gonna talk about a little bit more about what they do here in Brazil.
Hi, everyone. Ecotrônicos is a collective. We work in Osasco for education, ambiental education. My English is very bad, sorry. Só acompanhar. Sorry.
Do you need some help?
Okay. We are a collective who works with environment education to extend the lifespan of electronics and teach how to do this in a safe way. We also work with the recycling of the same electronic device. What we do. We do all this at fairs and public place, schools, and recycle companies. Last a total society we operate. And that we do education and communication for sustainable consumption. The government does not have with difficult and expensive documentation, but we continue to work for consumers to be more aware of their rights. And environmental education is the way to transform people's culture from how to treat their junk mail. A society conscious of the need to recycle and reduce the pollution we cause. Because, sorry, it's my first time.
Alexandre, do you want me to read your slides and explain it to people a little bit better about what you're doing there? Okay, everyone, I'm really sorry about that. I'm gonna help him a little.
Understand.
I'm gonna help him and explain a little bit more about their work. So
Okay.
basically what they do is to educate and communicate the community where they operate about sustainable consumption. So one of their main aspects of their communication is to tell the consumers the e-waste generation issue, and then help them engage in this problem. They also work with environmental education campaigns in high school course. The company was founded by young people who was taking a technical course, and they also spread this to the community where they work. And they also promote events such as Café Recon, that is a preventive maintenance event to extend the useful life of electronics. This happens in events open for the community in all segments of society. Their vision also is the sustainability, and they communicate a lot about waste issues. And here, let me see. And here again, they say about the environmental education as a process of critical and autonomous reflection of reality. And their mission is to work with environmental ethics. Again, they communicate a lot about the issues regarding e-waste, and they want to make a change regarding in this way. I would like to thank Alexandre anyway for his courage in trying to do his presentation, and thank you so much for all your support during our project, and keep doing a really nice work there with Ecotronics.
Okay, sorry. Thank you all.
No problem, that's no problem. And at last, we have Jonas, the CEO at Retalhar, and thank you so much, Jonas, for all your support during this project. And you can start now. Jonas?
Hello, hello. Are you here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Larissa. I'm Jonas. I'm one of the founders of Retalhar. Retalhar is a B Corp, Brazilian B Corp, based on providing the service of reverse logistics of professional uniforms. Next slide, please. Retalhar was created to solve the problem of the disposal of textile waste in general, but for now works specifically with professional uniforms for a strategic question. Next, please. We have in Brazil a security issue related to thieves that disguise themselves as if they were company employees to rob the companies or its customers. That's a huge problem. On the other hand, we have a national law for solid waste that requires companies to hire a specialized service to give the correct destination to their waste. Faced with the problem of security, companies use it to landfill or incinerate their uniforms. But with this law enacted in 2012, this practice is no longer the most appropriate. And we identified an opportunity to solve an environmental problem generating social value. For that, Retalhar has always looked for partners that could aggregate with their resource underused, and this involved both the textile recycling industry and small groups of seamstresses organized in cooperatives located in the outskirts of the Great São Paulo. That is one of the main cities of Brazil. With these partnerships, Retalhar managed to develop a self-sustaining business model with low investment and high positive environmental and social impact. The existing cooperatives have increased their demand for labor and therefore their incomes, impacting directly on the relatives of the almost 30 women seamstresses distributed in the 6 productive groups of our network. In order to work with the recycling industry, it was necessary to create a process of reverse manufacturing of uniforms, which basically consists on disassembling clothes at scale, at a large scale. This process was initially done by people recruited by the company itself. However, since July, this process is done in partnership with another B Corp, a cooperative called U-Green. And these new partnerships has increased our productive capacity and our social impact, resulting from the organizational model and the inclusive workforce, as U-Green have as main asset the ability to manage and improve process. So since then, any material that comes to Retalhar automatically generates work and income for the cooperative and its workers. That involve immigrant refugees, egress of the prison system, transgender people, and other workers in situations of vulnerability. In practice, and that slide is showing it, in practice our work may involve or the simple provision of service in which we solve the problem of the disposal of uniforms and we guarantee the safety and correct disposal of material, which ends up with the fabric defibration, which becomes raw material for the automotive and construction industry. Next slide, please. Many of our customers choose to create case from the projects. So more than solving a problem, it's about creating a history. In this case, we study the context of the customer to develop new products that have synergy with other initiatives of the company, resulting, for example, in popular blankets for homeless to companies' winter campaign, as we are doing with FedEx in Brazil, and we are going to the 5th year of this partnership with FedEx. Or the other possibilities, new products developed by seamstress cooperatives and reusing the old uniforms as raw material. So social value added, and also using the visual identity of our customer, that is the company that is paying for us to the right way to discard their uniforms. Next, please. In this context of creating new products, an emblematic case is that of the MRV Institute. It is an initiative of social responsibility of MRV, one of the largest construction companies in Brazil. The Institute supports children's schools for low-income students, and therefore, the project that we made involved the transformation of uniforms into 1,000 school backpacks. The distribution of these backpacks was done in partnership with the Acatu Institute, mainly responsible for raising students' awareness of social and environmental values involved in the product. With this, we transform an environmental problem of the company into a social and pedagogical asset with a significant impact on children and their families. So that's how we are working to increase awareness through practical cases to inspire people to think in a circular way, not just circular economy way, but think about in a circular way, thinking about the problems as a whole and not just the social part or the environmental part. Everything is connected. So, and that's it. Thank you all for hearing me.
Thank you, Jonas. Thank you so much for all your support during this project. It was a really pleasure for us to work with you. And now we're gonna open for some questions. So if you have a question, your moment is now. Anyone?
I had a question, Larissa. I was wondering if the companies could speak about how they label their products, for example, like the textile items, like for example the Ratalha, the rucksacks for children. How are they able to envisage their business models on a label that consumers can understand?
That's a really great question. Who wants to start answering it? Jonas?
Well, I can do it. If I understood the question, you are wondering how we are communicating the product, what is beyond the product. That's it?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. In the material way, we have always a tag inside the product that is talking about the history of it. So this was a uniform, and this product was made by a cooperative of women and things like this. But for us, the main way is not just the tag inside the product, because we are only working in the B2B model. So the big value on this is the way that the company is communicating with their workers, that they are our goal. We want them to understand what is behind the product, what is this project. So the people who were wearing this uniform and it became old, and the worker thought it was the end of this life cycle, so it was going to the landfill or incinerator, and we are saying no, there's no waste here. We are talking about creating new products. We are saying that every waste is a resource. So the company is our customers, the big companies that we are working with. They are our platform to raise awareness inside the company with their workers. You understood? Once we are not working on the B2C, we have another ways to raise awareness.
That's really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Bettina speaking. I'm also from EU and Environment, and also I'm working with Naomi on the Consumer Information Program. I have a question to, well, maybe all of you could answer it, or some of you. in terms of challenges you face, and what do you think would be needed in the future to further support the kind of business models that you're implementing? So that could be what kind of policies would you need to further support your work, or maybe how could initiatives or also NGOs such as ACA2 further support your work? That would be interesting to hear from you. Thanks.
Thank you, Bettina. Does anyone want to answer her question?
So at OLX, we are already talking to ACA2 because we are here to change people's mind, to everyone see that we need to take care of the environment and to extend the life of the things. So we are already talking about how can we do this? We are using numbers, we are using marketing. How can we teach everyone that we need to extend people's lives and the life of the things that they don't use anymore, but can be useful to other ones. So we are thinking, and if you have suggestions, please tell me.
Well, I can say something. We have here a national law, as I told, but it is still a weak argument of sale due to the lack of supervision about if the companies are or not following the law. And because of this, I believe that it's becoming stronger, the force, the over-national force about the awareness of the people and the way people are thinking and the way companies are thinking, how to answer this demand of the people for responsible practice from the companies. So it's more about the society being engaged than a law to be followed. You understood? I think our customers, our main customers, are more interested in how the public will see this action and this project than if they are or are not following the national law for solid waste. So that's why ACA2 work is so important. They are raising awareness through the country.
Hello. Sorry?
Hello, I'm Marcos. Can I add something?
Sure.
We believe that this is the great challenge of all of this business, and beyond governmental policies or even taxes policies, we have to think about the answer inside us. What I'm trying to say, we have to find the joy, the fun of to be sustainable. This is the answer to us. I think this is the way of teaching who wants to be taught about where is the fun, where is the joy of to be truly sustainable. Thank you.
Hello, is everybody listening?
Yes.
So my name is Nicole. I'm also from Brazil, and my question goes to Refazenda. I would like to know how is it to be a slow fashion brand in the middle of the fast fashion industry? How is it to show people that our values are kind of upside down nowadays? And how is it to talk to the main public about that?
thank you for the for the question. Sorry, it's very good to us. It's very tough because, as we said in the presentation, we are behavioral business trying to communicate outfits. So first of all, we change the name of fashion to outfits. They are quite different. The first one is quite controversial, and the second one is more timelessness. But there is not only this. We have many challenges to face. One of them is the price of the product because of the whole process. We believe that to be truly sustainable, we have to go through environmental matters, economic matters, and social. So to close this cycle, you can imagine the price. So it's cheaper to be fashion, but we want to be fashion. We want to be sustainable. So how to explain that to the customer? We don't know yet the answer. We are trying to find out ways to explain by the marketing, by the instruction in our labels, by and trying to extend the lifetime of our products. Just to point out, our product have a lifetime of about 10 to 15 years. So this is almost 4, even 5 times plus. So it could be a problem to us. Who is gonna buy another dress or even a skirt or a t-shirt tomorrow? So, but another way, we had created 2 services, as I have mentioned in the presentation. If I have time to say, if I have time to explain, is the enhancement, in Portuguese is called house, where we can rethink, remake about last you estimate this. For example, if you lost weight or if you gain this, weight, we can adjust that dress to your new body, or even we can get a shorter address according to the trendy. If you wanna be a summer, for example, it's a new discovery to us. And then we have another service called reuse. In that case, we do not interfere in the design. We try to find out different ways using the same clothes. For example, you can change a jumpsuit into a if you can use long skirt as a short dress. That is the idea.
That's very nice. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, it's Fernanda here. I'm also working at the environment. I'd like to pose a question actually for any of the companies or even to basically, because I wanted to see your opinion on the role of investors in this agenda. I mean, if you have ever felt any kind of best assessment to resources or money when you try to present this kind of innovative.
I can't hear the question.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. No, basically my question was regarding the role of investors on this agenda. If you ever could, I mean, perceive like a best access to resources. Yeah, basically the role of investors in this agenda. If you think this was like a good agenda for them to invest in.
Well, it's hard to have a unique answer because it's impossible to not talking about the economic moment of Brazil. So maybe it's not the best time for searching for investment, being or not a sustainable or an impact business. But in my experience, I found opportunities to get the investment, yes, but in a small scale, a small amount of money. To big amounts, it's harder because the investors that has a lot of money to invest in business, they want fastly to receive their return fastly than an impact business is able to do. So we found a lot of initiatives here in Brazil to support financially the impact business, but they are all too small and they are just starting. So it's something related to seed money and not the one that will change our status of business.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't know if anyone else have another question. Or maybe Bettina or Naomi can skip to the final conclusion.
Yeah, thank you, Larissa. Just to let you know, if there's no questions at the moment, our email addresses are on the screens at the moment, so please do get in touch if any questions come to you later today. I just wanted to finish off by saying thank you all for joining, but also in terms of next steps for this project, this is not ending here. We intend to continue this work in the coming year, formalising some case studies of the different businesses that have been featured today who are working in reducing obsolescence and extending products' lifetime. And we're also hoping to release some training and infographic materials over the coming months. We're also keen to hear from you, all the participants of this webinar today. Do you know other examples of organisations working in this field or different business models? It'd be really interesting to find out across a global region, and issues to do with communication of product lifetime extension is something we're really interested on and want to continue working in. So I'd like to thank you all for joining this webinar. And if you would like any more details, please do email us at the addresses that are shown on the screen currently. I'm going to close this webinar, and please do download the Longview report. It's up on the One Planet Network website, and we also have a hub page with information on product lifetime extension as well. You can also follow the One Planet Network on Twitter at 10YFP, and our website address is also shown on the screen. We have a newsletter which is sent out quarterly, which features some of our work on product lifetime extension, as well as our wider work around issues to do with product communication to consumers across the globe. So thank you all for joining. This webinar will be made available afterwards on the One Planet Network YouTube channel as well. So have a good day all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.